You ran away, right?
You need to get angry and.
No, I'm not
Yes,
angry.
there's no need to get in. Okay, there's no need to be confrontational. Let's continue discussing, please.
Yeah.
Just
Can I
just make one point? As one of Umar's caregivers, he doesn't like the term boy, so just don't refer to him as a boy. Thank you.
Right.
Caregiver. Oh, caregiver. Okay, Davinsky.
Yeah, that was the whole issue, right? You were kind of fragile, and when people were talking,
could I explain as to why I got upset? There is an actual reason why. There's a historical context of that word being used. I don't know where you're from, but I'm from America, and in my country, that word was used to tell like a lot of black men who were in positions of like.
Right, I don't care.
I respected your position. Could you at least hear mine out though, so we can actually like because I'm not like fragile. Can I just finish my spot, please? You came in interrupting us, and we were in the middle of a discussion. So I was actually in the middle of talking. You rudely came in and interrupted us. Please do not do that.
Okay, he has the right. He has the right to do that because he's a moderator in here, and he has to make sure that we will be civil in here and all that.
He's making it uncivil.
He's making it uncivil. He's actively doing that.
I'm about to start muting everybody because I don't feel 100%, and I don't really care for that. First of all, you asked me if I was sure, and I was going to respond with, yes, I'm sure. What do you mean, am I sure? Do we have to go through what an experiment is and what all of its fundamental parts are?
We don't have to.
Why are you interrupting me? Because if you're going to say something, and I'm going to say something, and we're quote unquote debating, then we're going to have to do more than say things. We're going to have to then support what we're saying. So just because you say it with bravado, because you say you're a physics student, doesn't mean that you're going to follow your teachings to the letter.
Sure. So would you like me to demonstrate my teachings?
No, I don't care about that. I only care about whether or not, listen, I only care about whether or not what you're calling an experiment is actually a viable experiment and not pseudoscience.
I assure you the Cavendish experiment is not pseudoscience, and I can demonstrate it and reproduce its experiment.
Everybody else, just if he has something to say about it, let him say it so that I can respond.
No, Davinsky is the one that's adding on. He's adding on to what I'm saying too.
By definition, if it's accepted by the scientific community, then it's not pseudoscience, right?
No, that's not true.
And
that's incorrect.
This doesn't really.
That's incorrect.
Pseudoscience definition. We can look this up.
Exactly. Go ahead. But the point is, if you tell me the Cavendish experiment, blah blah blah, I'm gonna say, okay, well, in order to have an experiment, you first need a hypothesis that's built on a supposition of why you think a phenomena in reality is actually happening. So then, in the Cavendish experiment, obviously following a hypothesis, I would want to know what your independent variable is.
What my independent variable is in the Cavendish experiment. Wouldn't the independent variable be the constant of G?
What?
The independent variable would be the constant of G, because G as a constant doesn't change.
G as a constant doesn't change.
True.
Okay.
Is G not equal to 9.8 meters per second squared, my friend? That is not true on Earth. Are you sure?
Well, we live on either an ellipsoid or an oblate spheroid. It can't be constant. You know that, right? It would only be constant on a. It would only be constant on a perfect sphere. So no, it's not constant.
I didn't say the shape was constant. I said G was constant, which you can measure and identify.
Well, G can't be constant because the shape isn't perfectly a sphere. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
Maybe to like 1,000th of a percentile, but if you're looking at it at like a large scale, it's almost always certainly going to be 9.8 meters per second squared, like at any given point, except for like different parts on the plane.
No, sorry.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Can you demonstrate that?
Well, it's not my claim. First of all, things don't drop 9.8 meters per second squared.
It actually is, because I demonstrated my proof of the Cavendish.
Can you stop? You just said things drop 9.8 meters per second squared. Well, I just dropped my tissue into my toilet bowl. Definitely didn't drop 9.8 meters per second.
Oh, it certainly did. It might have a lot more surface area to slow it down and make it appear that it's going less than 9.8 meters per second, but the gravitational constant itself is still 9.8 meters per second. I can assure you of that. We utilize this, we know this using the Cavendish theorem.
So do you want to know why that's a begging the question fallacy?
How is that the begging the question fallacy? I know what that fallacy is, but I want to hear what the definition is from you. What does that mean?
I'm going to give you an example if I can go ahead and find it.
Can we just define it? Assume I'm stupid and I don't know what it means. Define what begging the question fallacy means? Define it.
When you assume your conclusion is baked into your process.
Okay. So how have I done that? Demonstrate how I've done that.
So you just said that G was a constant, and then I just dropped my tissue, and then you gave me a reason as to why it didn't do that, and you said it's still doing that. However, the result is different only because of X, Y, Z. That's how you do it.
Right, because surface area
Now, if I can find the example I was looking for with Einstein, actually. It's a perfect example of how people use begging the question all the time, but you're going to have to be patient. If you really want to have this conversation and be honest in this conversation and have it be fruitful for everyone, including yourself.
But
okay. I just don't want it to I feel like when I debate a lot of flat earthers, they do this thing where they tend to gish gallop a lot, and then they tend to not answer my point, and I'll have to ask the question over and over.
Well, I haven't gish galloped at all, and the only thing you've done is given a begging the question.
Let's not focus on what I've done. Let's just get to the example you have.
But can I just point one thing out? Elijah asked you for the independent variable, and you named a constant. You're supposed to vary and manipulate that independent variable. How are you going to do that with a constant?
You can't. Wait, isn't the independent variable the independent variable is the one that doesn't change? The independent variable is what affects the dependent variable.
The independent variable is the one the researcher is supposed to vary and manipulate.
Independent variable.
Yeah, the independent variable.
Can I just say one thing?
A variable that stands alone. Yeah, it says answer. An independent variable is exactly what it sounds like. A variable that stands alone and isn't changed by other variables you are trying to measure. That's exactly what I said.
Wait, let Davinsky speak.
So this is from the APA, which is the writing standards that, basically you have to write to if you're an academic. Pseudoscience, a system of theories and methods that has some resemblance to a genuine science but cannot be considered as such. Examples include astrology, numerology, etc. Various criteria for distinguishing pseudoscience from true science has been proposed, the most influential being falsifiability. And if you look at falsifiability, that's basically, can this be proved? So falsifiability, the condition of admitting falsification, the logical possibility that an assertion, hypothesis, or theory can be shown to be false by an observation or experiment. So what Umar said earlier, I'm sure that could be proven to be false if it was false, could it not? So it wouldn't be pseudoscience.
Mm-hmm.
No, because first it would have to be a viable experiment, which would make it viable science. But anyway,
but if it wasn't viable,
I'm almost done. You don't have to talk over me. I don't want to start muting people. I can't really speak all that loud. So the independent variable, IV, is the characteristic of a psychology experiment that is manipulated or changed by research. Right?
I just looked it up, though. It literally said the definition of it is literally that the scientist does not manipulate that variable. I'm literally looking at the definition right now.
So why don't you just go ahead and post your source?
Yeah, where are you reading that from?
Can I get pig perms, please?
Can I get in here?
DM just post it for you.
There seems to be a misunderstanding with an independent variable, because what you read as a definition, I feel like you've actually misunderstood it. So when you said that it's a variable that isn't changed by the other variables, that's not what the other guy said. He said that it's a variable that's varied by the researcher.
So how do you change G? How do you change G as a constant? But how can you change G as a constant if the G is G
That's why it's pseudoscience. You don't.
Gravity is pseudoscience.
He wasn't finished.
Okay. So I'm going to say what I said from the start, and you're not going to interrupt. Hopefully you'll understand. The problem is that you are conflating the researcher's effect on the variable with the other variable's effect on the variable, right? So what he said is that the researcher has to vary and manipulate the independent variable and then observe a change in the dependent variable. And you then said that the other variables don't have an effect on the independent variable, which has nothing to do with what he said.
Great. So how do you change? So this is what you're not failing to understand. How do you change G as a constant?
She's not.
How do you change G as a constant though if it's literally?
So you need to understand that you've strawmanned him, and then you can start to approach it. Otherwise, this is a waste of everyone's time.
So how did I strawman him when you can't change G as a constant? Can you demonstrate how to change G as a constant? How do you change it? Stop! Wait! How do you change G as a constant unless you can only change that by going on a different planet? Explain that.
You asked me a question, right? I'm now going to
answer it.
It was in a rhetorical though. He was still saying stuff.
How have you strawmanned him? Well, actually, if you were listening to the previous sentence, I actually explained the strawman in the sentence, which tells me you're not listening.
Second of all, yeah, I muted him because if you want to continue to have privileges to speak here, you're going to relax, right? Because first of all, I'm the only guy not talking to you like that. I realize that you have an environment when you're at school and it gets like that. I know my young stepson gets like that too. It's okay, but you're definitely going to need to calm down. So first of all, how'd you straw man? Well, you're asking me how a constant would be manipulated. The G would be manipulated. Well, I told you that that's not possible. That's why it's not actually a viable experiment, because there's no viable hypothesis. Why would you be asking me that question when I told you in the offset that that's not possible?
So again, you haven't demonstrated how I asked him a straw man. When he asked me for a specific question, I proved the experiment is real because you can reproduce this experiment. If this experiment was bullshit, we wouldn't even be able to reproduce it and get the same results. So you need to demonstrate how me getting the same results by reproducing this experiment makes it a false experiment. Can you demonstrate how that's possible?
Would you like me to explain the straw man again, or do you want to just accept that it was a straw?
Would you like to answer my goddamn question, please?
Oh, calm down, dude.
Relax. You've asked the question twice, and I've given an answer twice, and I don't feel like you've understood the answer either time.
Look, also, we don't need, listen, I'm going to moderate the kid, okay? So whenever he's done talking, I'm just going to mute him so the other side can say what they have to say without everyone screaming and making this unlistenable, because this could be a teachable moment. Please continue. Note that you're going to stay on mute until it's your time to speak. Everybody else doesn't have to have that leash because they're being reasonable. I applaud the rest of you for being reasonable, even though I've muted your friend. I'm not censuring him. I asked him a few times to relax, and I can understand where he's coming from. That's fine. But when other people are speaking, he's going to have to remain on mute. So,
can I ask his two friends, because it seems like he's got two friends. Can I ask if they understood the point I was making?
Yeah,
actually, my point was a logical point, scientific point. So you understand that there's a difference between a researcher manipulating a variable and the variable. No, anything?
Are you asking?
Sure, manipulate the topic, right? So another guy said, "Well, which has then caused all of the problems that followed."
I think that Umar needs to rebuttal this.
But if he doesn't...
I'm saying, don't take it that way. That's just how I am when I discuss stuff. But yeah, I did feel like I
already understood that, brother. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, I feel like I did answer the question, satisfactory, but fine. If you'd like, he can re-ask me the question, and I can directly answer in front of everyone, so that he feels like I've given him a satisfactory answer. So please, ask your question to me again, and I'll answer it. I'll try to answer it in a direct and, specific way to you.
So I'll ask again. Do you understand that there is a difference between a researcher manipulating an independent variable and the variable being changed by another variable.
Correct. But where has that? Where can you demonstrate where that independent variable has been manipulated by the researcher? Can you show me that, please?
No, but this isn't my claim. The point I'm making
That's what I'm saying.
is that the other person was defining independent variable in that way, right? And then you said, no, it doesn't change based on other variables, which wasn't what he said.
Okay, guys, you guys are arguing about semantics.
I feel like we're getting hung up on semantics. I want to know your position. I just want to know your position. What is your position?
My position is that you misunderstood his statement, right?
That's not what we're arguing about, though. We're arguing about if the Earth is flat or not. We're not arguing if I'm...
Then you can't... Look, if you don't then you can't make a logical rebuttal, obviously.
So here's what happened, and here's the problem. So I said it wasn't an actual experiment. You asked me if I'm sure about that, and I said, okay, well, what's the independent variable? You said the constant big G, and then yada, yada, yada. Then you tried to ask me, how would that possibly be manipulated? Therein lies the problem with your assertion.
Okay, so my assertion is, can you demonstrate like how the researcher is manipulating G?
Well, that's the thing. It was your claim that it was a scientific experiment. Listen. It was your claim that it was a scientific experiment. It is not following the scientific method. Therefore, it's not a science experiment, and that's what we said is pseudoscience. Now, now that's listen. I'm about to.
Okay.
You're asking us about where is the independent variable manipulated. It's not one of them. First of all, and the definition of pseudoscience, right? It's something that is claimed to be pseudoscience, but it's not, right? So let me read you something from let me read you something from MSU. Pseudoscience is as the name implies, something that is claimed to be scientific, but it's not. The modern world is loaded with pseudoscience. You can learn to detect it because it has properties that you can compare to the real scientific method. Pseudoscience, on the other hand, ignores one or more of these steps. The true scientific method is not followed, although the pseudoscience is littered with scientific sounding terminology. It is the method that counts, and that where it fails. So if it doesn't follow the scientific method, that is called pseudoscience.
So can you show me where it doesn't follow the scientific method, please? I know what
the question was. That's why Elijah asked you. That's why
I'm not asking you what the definition is. Just straight out pseudoscience.
Now listen. Right. This is the thing.
Okay, here's why it's pseudoscience. It doesn't have a viable hypothesis.
Thank you. Okay, how? How does it not have a viable hypothesis? Now we're getting somewhere.
Well, tell me what the viable hypothesis is.
No, you need to tell me how it's not a viable hypothesis. The hypothesis is to find
there's no viable hypothesis.
The hypothesis is to find the specific value of G. We've already established that G is a constant. We just needed to find the exact measurement or value of G. That is what the hypothesis is.
That's not a hypothesis.
To demonstrate it's true, you have to
first
prove...
of all, yo, get.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's already me, Crypto. I mean, we're gonna have to either switch out or
go ahead.
Come on.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
So first of all, Roger.
Elijah.
Come on.
Yeah, I just want one question. One question. Ask him the title of Cavendish. That's the only thing you need to ask.
Okay, afterwards. Before we even get into all that, listen. First of all, science is quantitative, not qualitative. You're trying to find the qualitative, not quantitative. You're trying to find the quantity of something. So that's another problem. But second of all, what you said wasn't a hypothesis. Now, would you like to look up what a hypothesis is from various sources?
No, assume I know the definition is. Student for about 5 years. Let's assume I know the definition, please.
Well, I can't assume that because you didn't demonstrate that you know it.
But I did, because I actually gave what the hypothesis.
Give it, Mr.
So now, hold on. So I muted you. So check this out. Remember, I said you're going to be saying things as if you're right. I'm going to be saying things as if I'm right. I don't know. I wonder if your friends think that we should both be giving notes and citations to support what we think we're saying is true. So you're going to have to validate what you're saying, not only by citation, but by example as well. We're also willing to do that. If you're not willing to do that, and you're trying to use bravado to win versus demonstrate how you're correct, well, you're not going to win here.
Secret like fourth person? Is there like a secret like fourth person who's like on our side debating? Like I don't know who you're talking to, but he asked me a question, and then as I went to answer it, you muted me. Why was that?
No, I muted you because I didn't want you to answer that
Well,
question.
he asked me.
Why I didn't want him. Roger, you see why I tried to stop you? Look at
It's
this
okay.
now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we have like a 1v1?
But now he's focused on what you said.
It's all right. Go ahead.
You're kind of piling up on Umar and like bombarding him with a lot of questions.
We don't need that, Davinsky. We don't need that. Roger, go ahead.
Not really fair. And then you guys blame
We don't need that, Nick. Nick, we didn't need that.
If he focuses on me, right? I only told him how he doesn't have a valid experiment because there's no viable hypothesis. He's not challenging it by asking. I told him how his nuh-uh is not good enough. I said, okay,
How
well,
is
fine.
a fair combo if you keep muting him?
Because he keeps talking after. Look, as soon as he's unmuted now, is he going to respond to what I just said? No.
He looks muted.
I'm trying.
Now he's not muted.
I'm trying to respond. So, which do you want me to answer? Because I was asking multiple questions and I was asking multiple things, and I tried to respond to multiple things, then got muted.
You should only be responding to one thing.
Well, maybe everybody should be on mute if like it's a one-on-one conversation, don't you think?
Well, that's what I tried. I mean, well, hey.
So why am I being muted? Why am I?
Only mutes us
Because this is my house. Any more questions?
Hey, your house, your rules, Big Papa. Hey, all right. So really quick,
but you don't have to focus on everybody else.
I'm trying to respond.
You hear me trying to get everybody else under control.
I'm trying to respond to your answer.
What answer was that?
You were asking me how. Can you just like let me talk, please? You keep cutting me off. You seem to do that a lot. But my thing is, I want to respond to you saying it's not a viable hypothesis. So I'm not satisfied with your answer. You have just gish-galloped and rambled on. You haven't demonstrated how it's not a viable hypothesis. So I'll ask you again, and I'll ask slowly this time. How is it not a reasonable hypothesis if it can be reproduced and repeated over and over again and get the same results? Please explain how that's possible if it's not a viable hypothesis.
Because a hypothesis is a supposition as to what causes a natural phenomena.
What does a supposition mean? Because I feel like you don't know what these words mean.
You want me to tell you? It's what you think.
I don't think you know what it means.
Is what you think is the cause of what you're looking at in nature. A phenomenon.
Okay. And we see that in nature, things constantly fall down and they have a gravitational constant. And that is what we were determining in the Cavendish experiment, correct?
Begging the question.
That's not begging the question if the experiment's been proven true.
It is begging the question.
I guess. You can feel that way. You can keep coping that way. But it's not.
Well, it is begging the question. I don't look at something and see that it's a gravity well because of a constant and blah, blah. No.
But that's literally what science is. Science is literally observing something and then trying to explain that phenomenon.
Man, what you see is falling down.
Sasha, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, I thought this was a 1v1 conversation.
Sorry, guys.
We try to mute everybody, Mr. Ba. You keep complaining. Answer Elijah's
I've been on mute.
question. You're being very fragile again. Come on. This is between you and Elijah. Answer the question. Then we can move forward, right? All you did is complain.
If I'm on mute? How can I complain if I'm on mute?
So answer Elijah's question. You're doing it again.
But how can I complain?
So what was the hypothesis of Cavendish?
The hypothesis of Cavendish was literally to determine what the gravitational accelerant was, what the gravitational constant accelerant was, and we determined with that experiment that it is 9.8 meters per second.
That was not his hypothesis.
You want to go over the experiment together, sir? Yeah, the Cavendish experiment is a clever way to measure. I'm reading it right now. The Cavendish experiment is a clever way to measure the gravitational constant that is stated in the universal gravitational equation. This experiment used a torsion balance device to track lead balls together, measuring the torque on a wire and equating it to the gravitational force between the balls. So yeah, it is absolutely an empirical science.
So Mr. Ba, listen. What was the title of the paper from Cavendish? Can you tell me?
I don't think that matters. All that matters is that the data.
So that's not what I asked. You're
asking me semantics. You're like, that doesn't. You haven't demonstrated how that's false.
That's
you haven't demonstrated how that's false.
So Mr. Ba, I asked you a question. You ran away again. What was the title?
Run away. I'm answering you, bro. I said I don't know. I said I don't know, but it's
okay. So measuring the density of Earth, right? Determining the density of Earth.
Yeah.
Mr. Ba?
Cavendish tried.
G wasn't derived until 75 years after Cavendish was dead.
Yeah. Please take over, Indio.
They don't measure the gravitational constant; they infer it. What do you observe in the Cavendish? Explain exactly what happens in the Cavendish experiment.
The Cavendish experiment literally refers to the inertial reference frame of the two lead balls literally being strung together on a string to literally measure the tension between two lead balls.
Okay, and then what happens?
Stop! Wait, I'm getting to that. You can't let me finish. Holy shit!
You're already wrong. That's why.
I'm not already wrong. I'm literally reading the process of the experiment right in front of my eyes. Google can't lie to me, my guy. Sorry, but like,
why not?
Yeah, because why not? Because I'm literally looking at a college website of how the experiment was done. You think universities make this shit up?
Dude, I already know how Cavendish is done. I already know exactly what it does.
Yeah, and I did too.
I'm asking you. You do. Then why are you reading it? Then you should just be able to tell me exactly what happened.
Because I did, and I did this in my freshman year of university. Because, I'm almost done with college.
Well, I think you're lying because you don't know what it does.
Oh, okay. Do you want to look at my LinkedIn resume? Because I know Davinsky has it, and he's seen I've been to university. I can't make that shit up.
But I'm saying you didn't do the experiment. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, but how do I know?
Because you don't know what happens.
If I did the experiment, but how do I know the experiment?
Why are you talking so fast, dude? You triggered, man?
What?
You triggered?
No,
he's talking fast because he needs to get a point out because you cut him off every half a second.
Because he doesn't know what the Cavendish experiment does. He doesn't even know it's observed.
Davinsky, look up the Cavendish experiment, read it out, and tell me if anything I said about it is wrong. I've literally given the exact value of what it found, and I'm. Yeah, sure. Here, look at the screenshot. Give me pick perms, and I'll be able to post.
Okay, listen. I asked you a question. I asked you what was observed. So when you set up the Cavendish, right?
Gravitational constant.
It's not what's observed, you clown. It's not.
But it is. Why do we know the gravitational constant is 9.8 meters per second? Then explain that.
That's not the gravitational constant, you fucking clown. That's the
acceleration.
Acceleration of gravity, dude. You dumbass. That's little g. You stupid fuck. That's little g, not big G. Dumb fuck.
Have you ever studied a physics class? Have you ever studied a physics class?
Yeah, I took physics 1 and 2 in university. Yeah, I did. That's little g, not big G, you dumb fuck.
And I know the calculus behind it, and what you're saying is completely stupid, because everyone knows G equals 9.8 meters per second squared, retard.
That's little G.
That's little G and big G. Little G and big G are the same exact value, moron.
Oh, they are?
You know that, right? Yes, 9.8 meters. Fucking fool.
This is going to be funny, because I'm going to post the big G value right now.
He's about to
I'm going to post the big G value.
Hey, Davinsky, what is that Cavendish experiment?
I know he is.
You got that picture I posted, right?
Yeah, when are you going to...
Yeah, I got schooled. That's where I already posted it. Look in general.
Oh, let's wait for big G value now.
Wait till you call him a boy. He's going to flip out.
Wrong server. Hold on. Somebody give me
Oh my god, this guy doesn't even know how to work Discord.
Can you give me pick perms? I need to have pick perms.
I DM'd you already. You can post it to my DMs. I've already DM'd.
Sure. So what's this? Right here? What about this? And I also sent the one for variable too. The Cavendish experiment is a clever way to measure the gravitational constant. That's what I've been saying the whole fucking time. My God.
Yeah,
I think I found out the problem with the flat Earth server. You guys are illiterate. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, now you got to talk about us. Now you got to talk about us.
I mean, you've been doing it.
Like a gossiping little chick.
I
still want to know what's observed in the Cavendish experiment. What happens to the balls?
to actually have enough integrity and post that picture I sent him.
Just answer the fucking question.
I answered it. It said it. I answered it.
The balls come together, then what happens?
Yeah, and then what happens?
Then what happens?
And then what happens? You measure the tension on the string, and then you can find the gravitational
How do you measure the tension on the string?
You want me to give you an entire physics lesson on how to measure tension?
No, I want you to tell me how.
So, how to measure tension?
Physics very simple. I need an answer.
You sure?
I just need an answer.
Oh wait, but I'm actually trying.
I need an answer. How is tension measured on the string?
So in order to find tension measured on the string, you're going to find the potential energy of the torsion on the string, right? The torsion being like the amount of stress that's put on the string in order to like literally enact force on it. So that tension was literally found to be like found at 9.8 meters per second squared within the inertial reference frames of the two balls attached to that like string.
You think word salad is going to work?
Meters per second squared.
Dude, he's blowing you out of the water right now. Like,
hey man, Kavinsky.
Dude, you think word salad is going to work? What's measured? What's
literally
measured?
The science behind it.
Dude, you don't even know what's measured. That's it. I'm going to keep asking you what's measured. Oh my God. Because then I'm going to tell you.
Davinsky, you're looking at what I'm saying in real time. What I'm saying is literally the experiment, right?
What's measured?
Well, I told you what's measured. How many times do I got to fucking answer?
Okay, what device did they measure that with?
I'm sorry, are you like
What device did they measure that with? What device?
Balls and a string. Are you illiterate? Do you have
what device did they measure it with?
Amnesia? I've told you the answer.
Did they measure the velocity? Did they measure the velocity?
Measured the tension on the string, buddy, in the inertial reference frame. Do you know what an inertial reference frame is? Do you know what an inertial reference frame is? What's an inertial reference frame? What's an inertial reference frame?
How did they measure the tension on the string? How did they measure it?
You're getting blown the fuck out on this.
You're scared.
No, dude, you're just
How did they measure the tension on the string? I'm just asking a simple question. You should know. You're the physics expert, so tell us, with what device did they measure the tension on the string?
With the scale.
Everyone else.
No, they didn't measure it with a scale. No, they didn't measure it with a scale. Tension on the string is inferred from the change of the angle of the ball, the velocity at which it turns, dude. And then the ball oscillates.
So how is the ball moving?
And then it oscillates. But you don't know that because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You've never done the experiment. You don't know what the result is.
The only way those balls are going to come together,
they oscillate. They don't come together. They oscillate. You know what an oscillation is?
like referring to a frequency. I know what oscillation is, dumb fuck.
Okay, so the balls...
Oscillation refers to modulation as well.
Yeah, and the balls bounce back and forth because there's tension on the string. So they bounce.
Imagine quizzing me on oscillation when I learned about acoustic. When I learned about
dude, don't break your arm, patting yourself on your back.
Stupid,
you failed all those. You failed all those.
Dude, I literally got beat.
Again.
Did he get muted or is he just screaming? So the name of Henry Cavendish's experiment was determination of the density of the Earth. Cavendish didn't derive big G. Mitchell did 75 years later after Cavendish was dead. You don't know anything about the experiment, right? There's no independent variable. Okay, you don't have an independent variable. You said Cavendish causes things. Cavendish proves that gravity causes things to fall, right? Nothing even falls in the Cavendish experiment. Cavendish is well known to being hard to set up. I can post you videos of a professional physicist. They actually went and sawed the Cavendish, scientific grade Cavendish device that wouldn't work. And then I could show you it working with Christmas balls. Right? Determine cause and effect. You manipulate the independent variable and watch the effect on a dependent variable. Cavendish is not an experiment in any sense of the word.
That did not answer any of my questions. You haven't demonstrated.
You didn't have a question. You just had word salad.
But here's the funny thing. How is it fake? Wait, no, I actually want to ask my question. I actually want to ask my question now. How is it that millions of people have reproduced that experiment and gotten this?
Millions of people have failed to reproduce the experiment. So what?
No. Can you demonstrate that's actually happened? Can you demonstrate millions of people have failed to reproduce?
Yeah. Can you demonstrate a million people have done the experiment?
Yes, that's why we use G as a gravitational constant.
Show me. Show me the survey.
Sure.
Show me the
survey. Let's look up what Galileo did. Hold on. Let's look up what Galileo did.
It's spiraling. This is hilarious.
Yeah,
amazing. Amazing.
So you made a baseless claim. I made a baseless claim, right?
Why a 5,000?
You have no idea. So you had no idea how many people have done it. Neither do I.
Oh, they tried to ban Davinsky.
So guess what? I'm gonna ask you this. Because the only reason you're trying to prove gravity, it already works. So Newtonian gravity and general relativity both work on a flat Earth, right?
Do you think gravity is real?
What do you mean real?
Is gravity real?
Things fall. Yes, things fall. Is it because we're trying to determine is gravity the cause of the effect? Which one is it?
All right, maybe I can save you. You're not too far gone on
Save me? Oh my God, you're a religitard.
I'm not a religious. I'm an atheist, actually. I'm an agnostic atheist.
Well, you have a religion without a deity, and you don't even know it.
No, if you call science a religion,
Well, what are you saving me
know
for?
what science is.
What are you saving me
I'm saving you from being a dumb fuck. I'm saving you from being a dumb fuck.
I know more about the experiment you cited than you, and I'm a dumb fuck.
Sure.
You don't even know what it did. You didn't know that oscillated. You don't know how they infer.
Okay. What is oscillation mean again?
You don't know how they infer the force from this timing.
What does oscillation and modulation mean? Really quickly. What do those two terms mean?
On YouTube. You could have looked at that.
What does oscillation and modulation mean? What are those?
It's a periodic motion.
It's a periodic motion. What does modulation mean? Is a combination of what two waves when you're referring to acoustic waves? It's a combination of what two waves? Sine waves. It's a combination of two sine waves.
You mean Gaussian waves? Yeah, great. Fantastic. Whoopee fucking do. What's your point?
Is one sine wave affecting a frequency, while modulation is the combination of two sine waves overlapping with one another. Also known as
What's that got to do with the price?
Also known as superpositioning, buddy. So why are you saying oscillation?
Listen, superposition is also the linear combination of two vectors. What be fucking do? Who cares?
Oscillation has nothing to do with
listen, Cavendish experiment. The balls oscillate. The balls oscillate in Cavendish.
I don't know why
and you don't know that because you've never done the experiment and you lied.
You're just saying shit.
But listen, let's get to the point. Newtonian gravity and general relativity both work on a flat Earth, and the only reason you're even fucking around with gravity because you think that particles form a sphere under Newtonian gravity, and that is incorrect. That's right. That is incorrect. They've run this on simulation, and it does not form a sphere. You want a published paper? You want that citation?
You can give me the citation, and I can give you the citation showing that the Cavendish experiment has been reproduced and actually been shown.
It shouldn't be that hard to prove that
listen, I could reproduce it, and I can listen. You have demonstrations where it's not reproduced.
Why do you keep saying you listen? I've let you ramble on like 6 or 7 minutes now. Like you got to let me respond. It's
Dude, you listen. You're like a ferret on.
It's not fun if you're the only one.
I'm not here for your entertainment.
Well, I mean, mass attractive mass was debunked by Einstein anyway, over 100 years ago. Kid.
Exactly. It's not an experiment, number one, and you're going to have to show how this is associated with general theory of relativity, the new hotness.
So what's the definition of mass?
Wait, can you show me how mass was debunked really quickly? Can you show me how
what is mass?
No, how was mass debunked?
What is mass? Define it.
Mass is literally just mass. No, what is mass?
Hey, he got a B+ in science class in 9th grade. So like,
my connection cut off. Hold on.
Define mass.
Mass by definition. Sure, mass is literally just a quantitative measure of inertia. So it's literally describing how much of something is in something. That's all.
Quantitative No, it's not. The number of atoms.
I'm looking at the definition. Well, it's wrong.
Encyclopedia
Britannica is wrong.
That's correct.
Encyclopedia Britannica does not have science definitions.
It's
you go to
incorrect.
a physics book.
Quantitative measure of what?
I'm muted.
Quantitative measure of what?
The quantitative measure of the resistance of an object. So it's literally
of what's resistance of an object?
It's resisting, and it's literally dealing with inertia. Do you know what inertia is?
What's inertia?
Are you slow?
What's inertia there?
Tendency for an object. Inertia is literally just a tendency for an object to change its position or to resist change.
Wrong.
That is literally what it is.
Wrong. That's not the literal definition.
We
Incorrect.
literally wouldn't be.
Incorrect.
He's slapping his keyboard.
Incorrect.
He's
Let
a
me show
spaz.
you, numpty dipshit. Are you in voice text?
Keyboard. I'm at work. I'm not on my keyboard.
Are you in the text chat?
Oh my
So
God,
I
you
have
are
motor
so
mouth.
insecure.
Motor
I have a
mouth.
job
Are you
like
in
you
text
do.
chat? Are you in text chat? Listen closely. Are you in text chat?
I can't be
I'm
in
going to
text chat if I
debunk
keep
your
being
dumb
muted.
ass right
I
now.
can't be in text chat if I'm muted. So,
All right.
but
So,
unlike you,
yeah,
I'm
You
can.
can't
I'm gonna
see.
mute
You
if
can't see the voice
I'm at my
text.
job.
All right. So, from your alma mater wiki, mass is both a property of a physical body and a measure of its resistance to acceleration, a change in its state of motion when a net force is applied. Rut-row, Shaggy. Inertia, from your alma mater wiki, is the resistance of any physical object to any change in its velocity. That's acceleration. This includes changes to the object's speed or direction of motion. So you got a big fucking problem. What's mass and what's inertia?
So you realize mass is related to inertia, right? Like that was the stupidest.
I didn't say what it's related to. What is it?
Yeah, but it is though. So like this is the thing.
It's not that.
The concept with that.
It's not that.
You just replied as if he denied what you said. He just asked you again this question, dude. Dude, you're like a fucking wind-up toy. You have canned answers, dude.
Why do you guys keep muting me? I guess.
So let me
Because
ask
you're
you.
not answering the question.
So Cavendish measured there was two bodies that you said mass attracting mass. So resistance to acceleration attracted resistance to acceleration. Is that what happened?
I'm muted. I can't answer if I'm muted, bro. I'm gonna have to stop me like a.
We can all hear you. Just answer the question.
Nobody's muting you.
Okay. Yeah, somebody is actually. I can screenshot it. Yeah, he is.
Don't mute him. I'm sick of his fucking crying.
He unmutes
I'm not crying.
The question.
I'm not crying. Can you also unmute Dr.
No, I'm gonna
No, we're not muting your friend, dude. You guys can yell nigger or something, and yeah, like you're not doing that.
This is why I'm muting him. I'm trying to mute him whenever you guys talk, and also when he's not answering the question, because of course it's gonna have us go, "You're not answering the question," and then it's gonna spiral because he's yelling and we're yelling. I'm not doing that. But the bottom line is, QE didn't ask you what it's related to. He asked you what it is.
Oh my god! I mean, dude, I've literally given my
Feigned exasperations are not answers. So you said mass attracts mass, right? So and then you define mass as its resistance to acceleration. Then Indio said, well, that means the resistance to acceleration is attracted to the resistance to acceleration, which is dumb fuck muppetry.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this like has run its course. If I get muted again,
You're a dumb fuck. Go back to primary school. You have no idea with what you speak of. You're an idiot.
I gotta get my key. No, I don't. I only need the.
It sucks that the Globe guys just lose their cool whenever they just lose it. They just can't keep it together.
hard. You guys project so hard. Like you guys.
I just jumped in.
Irony.
Here, I jumped in and I heard you screaming, and that's it. Just chill out.
He's so fucking backwards. Cavendish never performed an experiment. He didn't have a viable scientific hypothesis. He didn't find Big G. In fact, this pseudoscience was debunked over 107 years ago by general relativity. He's 107 years out. Do you keep up with your continuing education credits? You're 107 years out of date there, sunshine.
Yeah, it's a 1700s experiment. It's, I mean,
He ran away.
Yeah, it should give you like some kind of when you keep on quoting things from like kings and queens times to be your answer for now. It should tell you something. Like it should tell you something. Man.
Well, I'm 2 for 2. I've asked 2 Globers what happened, and I've never asked them this before. Because I assume that they know what happens when you set it up, but they don't even know that.
Can I
They
just, like,
think the
add
balls
one
come
point
together
to
and
the
just
debate?
stick there, but they don't know that that's not what happens.
Yeah, they're going
They
off.
approach each other and then rock back. They oscillate back and forth.
School teaches you this is how we know gravity is real. This is how we. So that's what they just forget to think it through to that point. You know?
No, he claimed he did it.
Yeah.
He claimed he did the experiment. Did it? He
did
didn't.
the Cavendish experiment.
He never did
The
it.
problem is he doesn't even know what the Cavendish experiment is, but actually magnetism explains Cavendish's scam experiment.
Listen,
You know what you guys do a lot in order to think that you've won the debate is when Umar is explaining something and he's using.
No.
Focusing on one term
Don't
he's
mute
using,
him.
and that
He's
pivots
being
away.
reasonable. Go ahead, Dr. Kavinsky.
So my problem with this whole debate with Umar is when he was explaining something, right? He'd use a term, and then you'd be like, "What's friction mean?" And then he'll start explaining that, and you'll be like, "What's that mean?" And then so it's taken away from what he was originally trying to explain and using those terms as building blocks to his main point, and then he ends up having to defend and define positions which were words that were used. You know what I'm saying? So it takes away from what he was actually trying to explain, and it just pivots the conversation into this semantics nonsense which goes nowhere.
But you understand that he's making a lot of claims.
Not true.
Sorry, Elijah, go ahead.
It was actually.
that's what the entire debate is.
Listen, it was actually Gishgallen. That's the purpose of asking. There's nothing wrong with asking someone to define terms. Nothing wrong with that, especially in a
you don't even know the terms yourself, and you're asking all these specific questions.
That's nonsense.
But then when you're turned around and asked the same question,
he didn't
you can't
know them.
answer it. No,
He didn't know them.
You didn't know them either.
I do
so why
know
are
all.
you asking
Listen,
the
that
question?
is bullshit. Listen, I'm on a phone. I didn't have to Google nothing. Nothing.
So he was trying to explain.
I've debated this fucking 7,000 times in the last 4 years.
First of all, you guys had like 3 or 4 people switch out, but then you muted us. So how's that?
First of all, don't talk over the admin when he's talking. Jesus.
Oh, sorry, Lord Supreme Leader.
Look, you're making
Don't chop
baseless
my balls off.
accusations, right? And asking him definitions is perfectly normal. Okay,
you're gonna ask him to define like 20 words in a sentence, which he's trying to use.
The
debate shifted at the end, and
exaggeration. We asked him to listen. He's making a claim. Mass attracts mass, right? If he doesn't know the definition of mass, what's the point? He never did the Cavendish experiment. He blatantly lied. Okay, he thought Cavendish derived G. He didn't. Okay, Mitchell did. Like 75 years ago, he didn't know anything. Cavendish wasn't trying to find G. The concept of G wasn't even a fucking thing.
I would just have to say that you guys are fucking retarded. You got blown out and just cope and Steve.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so his last words were insults, and then he ran away. I muted him just before he could do that. So we have...
Yeah, he had to chill out. That's all. He just had to chill out, and he didn't. And then that's all. And everybody talks crap at the end. And that's it. Don't focus on that as the whole thing.
Look,
he's back. He's back, right?
I don't care. I don't care. The bottom line is this: like, it's all of this other stuff is irrelevant. He asked how it was an experiment. I said because there's no viable hypothesis.
No viable and variable.
What did he respond with? Yeah, huh? And then I said, well, let's get a citation. What is a hypothesis? Did he want to look into that? I was the only person trying to mute people, trying to get control of the people in the stream, trying to have a decent conversation.
Would you let him back in, right?
He's back.
Well,
yeah.
But the bottom line is, I mean, if he wants to say something is science when it isn't, how am I supposed to respond to that?
Right. He didn't even know what the IV was. Or